Welcome to the Do More podcast, where we share strategies and tips for improving your life in every aspect. Here's your host, John Farling.
All right, welcome back to the show. Today, it's a little bit different than what I've done past several shows, and it's back to just myself on this show. It's been a little while since I've done that, but fresh off a high-level real estate investor mastermind, and want to get, I don't want to say something off my chest, but kind of had a pulling. So I wanted to talk about it. And the title of this episode is, What Are You Chasing? And this high-level mastermind that I was in, the guy that runs it is a very well-known real estate investor, I guess thought leader in the space. And one day he will come on this show. I probably need to refine things on my end a little bit before he comes on. But he will be on the show. But we were in a small group, and I think there's 4 or 5 of us, and we were talking, and this, I guess, higher level real estate investor was talking about his plans, and we were kind of looking at his portfolio, and I was kind of pushing back and saying, why do you want to keep scaling? What if you downsized in a way? And not necessarily real estate investing downsizing, but it was more the 80-20 rule. So at the end of the year, look at your bottom 20% of your portfolio and maybe sell those off. Maybe, for a variety of reasons. So we were kind of talking through some of that stuff. And finally we got on to, I asked him, why are you doing this? What's your goals? What are you chasing? What are you going after? And he said potential. He's chasing his potential. And a couple other people said that this past week too, in the same room. They're chasing their potential. And it got me thinking. I probably thought about that quite a bit over the couple of days I was there. And then since I've come back is, one, I think that's great, chasing potential. 2, I also think it can be an empty hole, because you're always going to be chasing your potential, no matter where you are, right? You may have a dollar amount you want to get to, but guess what? Now it's okay. Now I know I can go further, because now I know my potential is further down the road, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's very few people in this world that can say, you know what, I'm chasing potential, and that they can stay motivated by that factor. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing he was thinking about, but it sounds like that was at least what he wanted to share with us. That is his driving force, is chasing potential. I'm a basketball guy, so the person that comes to mind when it comes to chasing potential is Michael Jordan. And he without a doubt used that to motivate him. He also had to create, just learning about him and reading books about him. He also had to create stories in his head to keep him motivated. So while he was chasing his potential, he was also coming up with, I guess, stories in his head about the landscape, about people in the league, about people trying to challenge him. He would almost make these stories up about, okay, so-and-so doesn't think I'm a very good player, so now I'm going to prove him wrong. He would make up stories like that in his head. And maybe that's what this high-level real estate investor is doing, as well as trying to chase the potential, because I do think chasing your potential is an empty hole. You can't just have that as your reason for doing more, because I think at some point it's just not enough. But with that said, it struck me, and since then I've been thinking about it, and I would say, and I've gone through phases of my life, periods of my life. When I worked my 9 to 5, I definitely felt a calling to do more. I was, for 10 years, I felt, probably longer than that, probably for 15 years, I felt a calling, a pulling of, hey, you need to be doing something more. At the time, for at least half that time, I thought it was to coach basketball. And I was going down that path, and that probably satisfied it for a little bit. But then when I was done with that, I still felt a pulling. And I'll say that probably in, I don't know timeline, but it's probably been a little while since I've felt that pulling as strong as I'm feeling right now, just from being in this mastermind this past week. I feel kind of a pulling of, I should be doing more. And I don't know what that looks like. I'm not saying it's money related. I'm not saying it's, I don't know what it's related to. I do know that I'm more excited about this podcast and putting information out there and helping others. I do think that's part of my calling, without a doubt. And I also want to go over a few things. For the most part, this episode is just off the top of my head. I did write a few things down here. But for the most part, it's just, I want to talk about it. Because I think it's definitely something that can motivate you, chasing your potential. Right. And I do think that high level people in this world, and it's a rare thing, but I do think they are chasing their potential. I think it's a dangerous line to walk at the same time, because I don't think everyone can do that. And I don't know if being happy is the right term, but being in a good state of mind, because you're never going to reach that potential. You're never going to do it. Even if you've got a money goal, you're going to hit that goal, or you should hopefully hit that goal. And then there's going to be another goal behind that. So at least you have a little win here to where it's like, okay, I hit this money goal. Now I can move the goal further down the road and hit the next money goal. So you're still having wins. When you're chasing your potential, it's empty in a way, right? You're always chasing that potential. No matter how far you put it down the road, you're always chasing that potential. But like I said, it's also very powerful, because I do think that we're meant to be here for a reason. And how do I phrase this? We're meant to be here for a reason, and chasing your potential is definitely part of that. And I guess putting back into the world is kind of what I'm getting at. So what are you putting back into this world? What are you giving to make this world a better place when you leave it? To me, that's probably what potential is, right? First person that comes to mind is Elon Musk, right? He's obviously changed our world in the short time that he's going to be here. Steve Jobs as well. Like, you can go down the list. But that's when I think potential, that's what I think of is, how are you changing this world? What are you putting back into this world to make it a better place than when you came in it? Also want to go over a few things that I have felt when I feel like I'm not chasing my potential. And sometimes I don't know that it's going on. Sometimes I have to kind of reflect and be like, okay, you know what? This is probably the reason. This is a problem. This is what I need to fix. So one thing is, when I feel like I'm not living to my potential, is in a depressed state. And I'm not saying I'm depressed. We all go through peaks and valleys, right? But that is definitely one reason or one factor that one thing that happens when I feel depressed. It could be like, hey, I'm not doing enough. I'm not chasing my potential. Low energy. In fact, I have this quote. It's right here. You guys can't see it, but it says, "You often feel tired, not because you've done too much, but because you've done too little of what sparks a light in you." To me, that's chasing potential, right? That's directly related. And I've had that quote up for probably, 5-6 years. When I read that, it hit me. I'm like, yeah, that's super powerful. So yeah, do you have a ton of energy throughout the day? If not, obviously there could be other reasons, diet, exercise, whatever else. But if you don't have enough energy throughout the day, there's probably a good chance you're not, chasing your potential, whatever that is, right? You could be in your 9 to 5. I know when I was in my 9 to 5, I felt a pulling for years to do more. So next one is emptiness. And that's kind of, I don't want to say I have an emptiness, but after this past couple days in this mastermind, I definitely feel like a pulling. It's not an emptiness, but I feel a pulling to, create more, do more in this world. I don't know if that necessarily means doing more real estate deals. I don't know if that means diving into the podcast more, or if it's something else somewhat related to those. I don't know. But what I do know is I'm excited that I am being pulled and feel that pull, and it's motivating too. Definitely has given me more energy. So those are things you can think about. I'll also say that it helps to get in bigger rooms. right? If you're the biggest fish in the pond, which if you're the smartest dude or female in the room, and you're not getting the value you should be getting. You should be the least experienced, the dumbest, however you want to explain it. You should be that person in the room. You should be the dumbest person, the least experienced in the room, and those people are going to bring you up, right? Just being around those people, it's going to happen. And obviously that's what's happened to me this past few days coming back from this mastermind. All it took was a couple people saying, yeah, I'm chasing my potential. And it made me think, am I chasing my potential? And again, that can be in multiple facets. And I do think too, for me, I think one of them is helping others. And I'll probably wrap up with this is I'm hoping this podcast is helping others. I know I really enjoy it, but this is definitely why I'm recording this show right now is in regards to chasing potential. Because I feel like even though, there may be one nugget in this episode that someone gets out of it, just like how I got out of it a couple of days ago, that a couple guys, higher level guys, real estate investors are chasing their potential. And made me just sit there and think like, am I chasing my potential? And then it, and I don't want to say I just sat there and thought about it the entire time, but it did impact me. And it made me think a little bit more. And then I felt a pulling too. Plane ride home the next day, next few days, this is about 3 days after the event. I still feel a pulling that I need to do more. I don't know what that looks like, but that's basically all I've got today. Appreciate everyone that's listening, watching, following. It's been an awesome journey so far and excited to see where this goes. Please share this. Please share the show. Hit subscribe, hit like, whatever it is. I'm doing this for free. Not that I have to explain that, but I am. I really enjoy this. And again, appreciate you guys listening and watching. Till next time, we'll see you.
Thanks for following, subscribing, and listening to this episode of the Do More podcast hosted by John Farling. To learn more or ask questions, go to l4investing.com.